And Mark's going to have a statement. Call today's meeting of March the 25th, 2004. It is 7:02 PM. Would everybody please rise for, we'll do the roll call, I'm sorry.
James Morelli,
Here.
Toni Morrison,
Here.
Christopher Palmieri,
Here.
Jack Perry,
Here.
Jennifer Klock,
Here.
Michael Del Santo,
Present.
Valerie DiPaolo,
Here.
William Dietzick, Paul Chaplinsky.
Here, and Councilman Dietzick contacted me just before the meeting, and he said he wasn't going to be able to make it, so we have a quorum. And everybody please stand for the prayer and then the flag salute.
Heavenly Father, may we consider the people of Southington and always render what is right and just for our citizens. Help us to be compassionate while still seeking what is appropriate for the entire community. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 2. We need a motion for the minutes for our last meeting, which should be March the 11th.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes 8-0 unanimously. Item number 3, we have a police commissioner here for online trade sales safety initiative presented by Mr. Mike Riccio. We have the chief, and we have our safety officer here. So who's, Chris, Chief, Mike, everybody, come on up. Welcome. Thanks for everything, Chief, you and your team are doing in the community. We're watching all the news and all the stuff that's going on, and we understand that we had a little bit of a rough weekend, but we appreciate everything you're doing to keep the community safe. So thank you.
Thank you.
The floor is yours.
Okay, how's everyone tonight? So just to tell you a little bit about a safe exchange zone, what we have set up. I have 2 pictures you can pass around. So safe exchange zone enables residents to conduct exchanges like such as Facebook tag sales, Craigslist, anything on the internet. These parking spaces are clearly marked by signage and reflective lines on the asphalt. This area is well lit and under video surveillance, as you can see on the photos there. So this should help potential scammers and other criminal activities associated with online purchases activities, as well as help make child custody exchanges less challenging. Just a little history, in 2017, the Nevada State Legislature required one sheriff station or police station in each of the state's 17 counties to have an e-commerce exchange zone where people can go and feel comfortable and safe making their exchange. This made Nevada the first state in the nation to require communities to establish safe trade zones. A safe trade zone is a relatively simple public exchange program that any law enforcement agency can have. Currently, there are 14 police departments throughout the state which have this, the safe exchange zone. So what's needed? 2 designated parking spots, which we have there, you can see in the pictures, a well-lit area, and surveillance, which SPD already has all that. And you also, if you want, you can put rules into effect if they could be used at certain times or anything like that. You could put that out to the public just to let them know or anything like that. But pretty much it's pretty simple, and it's just 2 well-lit spaces. It's under video surveillance and everything, and it's just a place where people can go, feel safe. Like instead, if a lot of people go and get scammed, they go to places, they get set up, at least at the police department, maybe people won't be you know, you're at a police department. They're not going to do that maybe, you know, it's a safer place for people to go. That's pretty much it. Any
Thank you, we
questions?
appreciate that. Any questions?
Just, Chris, the 14 towns that have it, did they give you some feedback? Did they
Yes,
seem
so
like
I
it's
called a
making
couple of them, they
changes?
said there's relatively no problems,
Yep.
anything like that. Most of it was all positive. Yep, no
And it
no
seems to
terrible.
be being used.
Yes,
Probably,
yep,
right?
yep,
Which is good.
it is, yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes, Mike.
Are there any requirements to use the spaces? I mean, you advising folks that if you're exchanging with another party, they should both pull into the space? You know what I mean? I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
so once we get this going, what we'll do is we'll put something on our Facebook page stipulating all that, like what the, kind of, if the rules are, whatever, you both pull in or whatever, however you feel safer. Yep.
Great, thanks.
Chris?
I think this is great. Did people reach out to you, or was this just initiated from?
Go ahead.
This was initiated by the commissioner.
Great.
We just facilitated, we get the credit for, but this totally is Commissioner Ricchio who brought this up to us.
Thanks,
Told
Mike.
us to do it, so we did it.
We're
Great.
just hoping that you guys, thank you, Mike Ricchio. We're just hoping that you guys help get the publicity out so that the residents can take advantage of it, and it's really safe. You know, as far as we're concerned, we don't really care 24 hours a day, the camera's on, the lights are on.
Right.
If it becomes an issue, we can address it in the future, but for now, you know, let them use it. And I know transactions like this take place all over the place, and a lot of them aren't safe. I had to take my daughter one time to sell a pair of sneakers, and it was really sketchy. So let the residents know. If you guys can put this out on your Facebook page, that would be
Put it on the
awesome.
website.
Can we also have it on the website, so, because that's more steady, so there's a spot like on the police site, on the town site?
Once Chris gives us all the rules and everything, we'll put it on our town website and the town
Okay.
Facebook page, and they'll have it on their Facebook page.
It's great.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
you guys.
Anybody
letting
else?
us, do this.
Just one, when is it ready to go?
It's ready.
It's
Right
ready,
now?
yep.
Okay.
Councilman Perry?
Yes, thank you. So just got a quick question. Has this been an issue? Have you guys gotten calls of people being scammed? Or is this just more proactive?
Well, So, yeah, I mean, there are calls where people get scammed out of money and items and stuff like that. And like Commissioner Ricchio said, I also, like when my kids were younger, I also would bring them like to trade sneakers or whatever, this and that. And it is kind of an iffy situation. You're going into an unknown place and you don't know if the person's really going to buy the sneakers or not. So it's definitely a great, I think it's a good thing to have it a safe place where people can go. And not only that, you can go if there's a problem domestically, so the parents have a place to go there where they feel safe to exchange the kids back and forth without a problem, without arguing going on, maybe they feel safer there too. So that's also the case. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there are issues where we've gone to in the past where people have gotten scammed out of stuff and things like that.
Yeah, so this obviously seems like a proactive approach and to help reduce any calls the PD may have. It's kind of funny that you guys both mentioned the sneakers. My younger brother owns a sneaker store here in town that does apparel as well. And the reason he did a storefront was he actually had a gun pulled on him once during a sneaker transaction. So that's what initiated him getting a storefront, to make it more safer for him to run his business rather than just meeting up with people.
Yep.
Great.
Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for coming.
thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for the idea. Thanks for making the community safer. Great idea. So this is in the front parking lot of the police department. For those who are watching, there will be 2 parking spots. Please feel free to use that starting now for any online transactions and exchanges of goods and items in a safe place. So thank you. Okay, moving on to councilperson communications, number 4.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
A couple of brief things. As I mentioned in the last meeting, on Saturday, April 6th and Saturday, April 13th, folks will be allowed to get their transfer station passes right at the Highway Department. Those are Saturdays from 8 to 3, or they can go anytime between Monday and Friday between 8 and 3:30 p.m. And then also, there's going to be a household hazardous waste collection on Friday, the 12th of April, between 2 p.m. and 6 p.m. And that'll happen right at the transfer station. Any questions?
Any questions?
What time on that?
2 to 6 on Friday, the 12th.
Thank you.
And did you have the list of towns that we reciprocate with?
I don't have it
We
with
don't.
me.
But it's on the Facebook
it's on-
page and the website.
Correct.
It's our whole BRFOC region.
Prospect, Bristol, Wolcott.
There's 14.
Burlington.
Yeah.
Yep, good. Okay, Chris?
I just have one good news item to share with the community. Unico Club has announced their gold medal recipient for this year. Pleased to say, too bad the officers left, but retired Deputy Chief William Palmieri is this year's gold medal honoree. So if you're interested, the event will be at the AquaTurf on May 15th. Tickets are $85, and they can be purchased at Maximum Sun and Security on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike, or in downtown Plantsville from Fasulo Accounting, CPA firm,
Thank you,
law, his office.
Anything else?
That's it.
Mr.
Did
Chair, it's
you-
worth mentioning, we have a couple of recipients of this award with us, Mr. Palmieri and Victoria Triano back there.
Excellent. Thank you for mentioning that. Chris, did you want to give a shout out about the play? You
If
may as
you'd
well
like
promote
to.
it. Yeah, promote it. Come on.
Okay.
Why not?
The DePaulo and Kennedy Middle School Drama Club production is coming up. If you're interested, it's Sister Act. It'll be this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 7 p.m. at Kennedy Middle School. Tickets are $5 for students and $9 for adults. They can be purchased at the door. And then we'll also be next Thursday and Friday, 7 p.m. at Kennedy as well. So thank you.
Always a great show. Thank you, Chris, for all you're doing with that. And I think this week we also, in the spirit of plays, and in the spirit of things is the Passion Play, and I think there's probably still tickets for the Passion Play in town, so those who are looking for that, please look online for that. Anybody else? Councilperson Communications, Tony?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. Not to destroy the mood, but I'd like to address the report that we all received a few days ago from the law firm Robinson & Cole. It concerns accusations that were made by the Southington Democrat Town Committee in an online press release last September that a property on Mount Vernon Road in 2020 was only purchased for open space because, and this is a quote, it was a good old boy deal that constituted, another quote, fleecing taxpayers for personal gain. This was during an election, and the object of this press release, which was also thrown out on social media, was to help win last year's municipal election for the Democratic Party. The accusations were challenged by one of the three folks identified in the press release, and that would be Mr. Alex Ricardone, our deputy town manager. And the result was Robinson & Cole were brought in as an independent outside party to assess the accusations. Specifically, these accusations were serious. That the Open Space Committee chair, Paul Czaplinski at the time, who is now chair of this council, wrongly pursued this acquisition in order to benefit his, quote, friend and GOP colleague, Town Councillor William Dezek, who co-owned the property through a company called Precision. Second, Mr. Alex Ricardone was involved with this transaction. Third, the acquisition was improper because it was, quote, dangerous for hikers, that's from the press release, and town legal staff, again from the press release, have instructed the town that people should not access this land because of liability to the town. Fifth, the property had been considered and rejected by the Open Space Committee when it was Democrat-controlled. Lastly, that Councillor Dezek had failed to inform taxpayers of his ownership interest in this property. The investigation by Robinson & Cole, and it's here, shows that none of the allegations were true. It's not just one or two, but none were true. The only thing that's true is that the acquisition of this open space took place. In addition, the report stated unequivocally that Mr. Ricardone was not involved in any way with the transaction, and that the town manager, Mr. Schioda, stated that the town, had made no determination or recommendation that the public should refrain from accessing the property. We also learned that the author or authors of the press release are unknown, as Ms. Erin Cowles, chair of the SDTC, could not recall who wrote it. This cannot be excused as mere election time behavior. This is a deliberate development of an atrocious lie aimed at accusing 3 municipal officials of what is essentially criminal behavior. The behavior has had an effect. It has been destructive to the reputation of the individuals concerned. It lowers the reputation of the town. Finally, it also hurts our ability to have folks run for election. Our town manager, town council form of government requires many folks to run for election for service on oversight boards, such as this one, Board of Finance, Board of Education, etc. And this is voluntary service. No one gets paid. Who's going to want to run in the future if this behavior continues? No one wants to trash their reputation just because they're running for a municipal office. As for recourse, well, the people falsely accused have recourse in law to address the defamation, but that's a personal matter for them. I would, as a councillor, ask for 3 things to remedy the damage caused. First, I would ask the Southington Democratic Town Committee to prepare and deliver an apology in the same manner as they produced their baseless accusations. A press release stating this, with a heartfelt statement that it will not happen again, should be the least that that organization can do. Second, I ask my 3 Democrat colleagues here on my right to use whatever influence they can to either produce the apology and or seek to mitigate this behavior in the future. I don't think they were responsible for the press release. It's not the style of these people. But it was produced in their name, and so some kind of actions would be appropriate. Finally, I would ask that the report and my comments be attached to the minutes of this meeting so that folks in general can have access to them and read them at their leisure. So, Mr. Town Manager, if you could give a copy of the report to add to the minutes, and I would like to pass those, that's my comments as well.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Morrison. Anybody else? Chris?
I just have one comment in response. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. I did not have anything to do with that.
No, I don't.
You know, so I appreciate that. However, if we're going to go down this path, then I'd like to look into some allegations against the Republican Town Committee as well, such as in the last election, using mailers denoting items came from the town clerk's office. So if we're going to go down this path, then I think we should look into all election issues, not just ones that come from the Democratic Town Committee. So I'll follow up after this meeting. Again, I wasn't prepared to do that, but in light of the comments that I just heard, I'd like to pursue some investigations a little bit more into allegations from the Republican Town Committee as well. Thank you.
Are they allegations of criminal behavior?
Okay, Tony, thank you. Everybody? Yes, Val.
So I'd like to just talk about the First Congregational Church's celebrating the 300th anniversary, which is just such a huge event for our community. So I wanted to just let the council members know, let our public know that a couple big events will be taking place. There will be a dinner at AquaTurf on Monday, May 6th, and there'll be some keynote speakers and some special guests. So if you want to get tickets, just let me know. I'll put you in touch, to get tickets for that. And the other event that's going to take place is on Sunday, May 19th, after worship service. There will be a community block party, and so everybody is invited to that. There's no charge. It'll be from 1 to 4 down in the church area. There'll be live music and inflatables and food and things like that. So I hope people can come and celebrate with the church. The church is just such a big part of our town history, and I hope you can.
Val, you said May 6th for the AquaTurf?
Monday, May 6th is
Yeah.
the dinner, and Sunday, May 19th, after church is
1 to 4.
from 1 to 4 is the community block
Great.
party.
There's a mass on the 5th. and
There's
the
a
special mass.
There's a special service, yes, there's a special service on Sunday, May 5th as well. People are welcome to come to that.
Val, did you want to pass that down, and we'll put that in the meeting minutes
Yeah,
in case people?
absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman DiPaolo. Anybody else? Okay, I think a few of us, off the top of my head, Jen, Tony, Mike, Jim, myself, town manager, was at the Unico dinner, the spring Unico dinner. Were you there, Mark? Yeah.
No, I was flying
You
in
were-
from Florida.
That's right,
I
you were
missed it.
coming back. We attended the spring Unico dinner this past week, which was an excellent and well-attended event. There was lots of fun and mingling, some 50-50 raffles. We won't say who the winner was, but we will say that it was a good time, and we thank Unico for everything they do in the community, and also for hosting the dinner and bringing everybody together. Thank you. All right, let's move on to reports of special committees, number 4A, Apple Harvest. Chris?
Yes. I was not at the meeting because I was with you, Mr. Chair, but I do have a report that I can share out. I'm just trying to log in here to give it. Hold on one second. Okay, the meeting was held Wednesday, March 13th. If you remember from the last meeting, we're continuing to review contracts and award them. So at the last meeting, we approved the electrical vendor. That was back to Tom Bussett again. He was with us last year, so he's returning to us for this year's festival. Also, there was discussion and approval of the entertainment and sound contracts. Thunder and Lighting will be back with us to do the entertainment and sound for our main stage. We also approved the shuttle bus vendor. New Britain Transportation was approved for that. The grounds cleaning vendor was discussed, and Avery Cleaning LLC was awarded that bid again. And then finally, there was discussion on the beverage RFP. That's typically between Coke and Pepsi, so that was discussed. It'll go out, and then at the next meeting, that'll be awarded. Oh, and the last thing, the festival theme was also decided. This year is an Olympic year, so the theme is Harvest Glory to go along with the Olympics for this year for the Apple Harvest Festival.
Great, thank you,
Okay?
Chris.
You're welcome.
Any questions on the Apple Harvest? Hearing none, we'll move on to item B, sewer.
Oh, thank you. Okay, a few things, the sewer committee. The first was our collections policy. As I explained a couple of meetings ago, sewer collections have really got a little bit out of control in the sense that we have over $1 million in outstanding rates from our customers. And the staff put in effect a management policy to address this. Now, the policy we came up with was, I think Councillor DiPaolo suggested that we look at outside towns around us to see what they did with this issue. Because $1 million is quite a bit of money, especially if it's just talking about sewers. And based on that, we put in a policy that essentially we're going to look at sewer payments, anything outstanding for 2 years. And then we're going to give those folks a year to address that. And if they don't, then a year later, they'll go to, essentially, their house will be sold. Now, most of the people have a mortgage. So what the town staff will do is they'll alert the mortgage companies of the fact they have a lien on their house, essentially, for this amount. And then the bank will take it over, and then they'll insist that it gets paid. Otherwise, they won't sell the house. To all the others, we'll send a letter and explain to them, look, this is serious stuff. I mean, you can't let this go on too much longer. Anyway, the policy's been in effect a few weeks. Just today, the town received $208,000. So it is an effective policy, and it will be an effective policy going forward. Okay. We may also look at doing some other things with tax collections in general, to package them up and actually sell the debt. Because other towns are doing that, and they sort of explained to us what it was. Whether that's a good or bad thing for us, I don't know. It's just an idea. Okay, secondly, we're looking at a sewer exclusion zone ordinance. And this came up a few years ago, where a developer wanted to, for a development that was next to the sewer line but wasn't in the sewer district, he wanted to swap some property and essentially, do it that way. That thing fell apart. But I believe the same developer is coming back again and asking us, can we do that? And our response has been, well, we'll develop an ordinance that talks about an exception policy. And by that I mean, if you have a piece of property that's next to the sewer line, but is not connected up, if you have a piece there that can be connected up, but it's not in the sewer line, then if you have a piece of property elsewhere that is in the sewer zone, you may be able to swap it, because frankly we don't care. The only reason we care about the actual sewer zone is the fact that it's geared because it's what the sewer plant can handle at this point in time. Okay, if you start, handing out exclusions without, taking care of that, then the sewer plant will eventually run out of capacity to deal with it, which we don't want. So this will be an ordinance, and the deputy manager gave us a copy of a suggested ordinance. We're going to look at it next meeting and discuss it, and eventually it will come to the town council and be moved on to the ordinance committee for review. Okay, third thing, finances. The finances of the sewer plant is actually kind of interesting. We started looking at this a few years ago because we were collecting an enormous amount of money that was getting folded into the reserves. Now, we looked at that and we decided not to do anything because the plant was just about to be built. We're in the process of doing it. It took 3 years or so. And we said we'd look at it after that, because the plant, as it's now established, has a lot more energy requirements. It has buildings, extra buildings and stuff. So we said, okay, when we'll see how much it costs to run the plant after the sewer plant has been running for at least 2 years. And then we'll come and see if the rates should be adjusted in any way, or they should be upped or decreased. There hasn't been a rate increase in 10 years in this town. There has been a change of $10 was decremented in 2016 from the flat rate. Otherwise, for 10 years, we've had no change. And that's worked out, very well, because we have spent some of the reserves that we've, over the year, it got up to 9 million at one point. And we spent a lot of that on infrastructure building, like the sewer lining that we see in town. But now, because the costs of running the plant have gone up nearly $1 million, we think the rates right now are exactly what we should be having in order to run the plant as it currently is. But we'll review this every year or so, and if we need to make changes to the rates, again, either up or down, then we will. But at the moment, our finances are excellent, and they're in a very good shape. That's it from me, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Morrison. Any questions on sewer? Hearing none, we'll move on to item C, Library Building Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Library Building Committee met on Wednesday, the 13th. We had a few things on our agenda. One of them was to decide whether or not to upgrade 3 major door openings in the building. There were some savings that were identified in the siding, and so it's almost a net wash on dollars, but what it does is it gives us a higher quality, longer lasting door system. So we did approve that. Most people have seen the steel is up on the addition, and everything seems to be pretty much on schedule. We are still massaging the budget to try to include some extras, and the library board's fundraising campaign could use a little bit of a spark, so anybody that's interested in donating should contact them. And that's pretty much it.
Any questions for the Vice Chair? Library? If I can just add a couple items. So maybe say it a little louder. that the Capital Improvement Committee is looking for donations. So if anybody is interested in making a donation to the new library, please reach out to the Library Building Committee and the fundraising committee, or Jim, or any of us. We can set you up with the right people. They are taking donations, and they're taking donations for rooms and other things at the library in the names of those who are donating. So please reach out. And in the spirit of the same topic, it sounds pretty straightforward when we talk about naming rooms and items at the library or any other place like this building here. But the town of Southington does have a charter requirement for the naming of buildings and structures inside of a building. And so at the next meeting, I will be proposing to this council a streamlined approach, because there will be a number of donors at the library. And so that each and every one doesn't have to come here for review, I'm going to suggest a proposal to the council that streamlines the process, simplifies it a little bit, and clarifies for the library board and the library director how the naming gets done. You can take a look at the charter yourself, but essentially, if you're an individual, there's some requirements about naming naming for an individual. But we also want to deal with, family naming, business naming, and things like that. And I think we can streamline some of that as a team. So if everybody can just take a look at that by the next meeting, we'll have a proposal for you. We'll try to circulate it as a pre-read before the meeting so you can familiarize yourself with it. And so hopefully we can make any final changes and adopt that so that we can give the library team some clarity and that they can move through those pretty quickly. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. Hearing none, let's move on to item D, self-insurance.
Oh, that's me again. Okay, the self-insurance. We did take an important vote. We projected claims of 30.6 million for the next year's budget. But we intend to use $1 million of our reserves. The reserves are now 8.3 million. We did use 1.4 million for this year. And the reason we're using the reserves is because we essentially grew them in flush times. Right, it grew to quite an enormous extent. And it's designed not just as an emergency fund, but also to kind of help things during not so flush times, which is now when our healthcare charges are obviously going up, and it's causing a burden both to the town and to our employees. So we're doing the best to keep that as low as we can. For the reserves in general, we're going to have a look at the reserve policy at the next meeting, just to talk about it. What is the exact number we should do? There are some people think we have too much reserves at the moment, and we shouldn't essentially be taking that money away from people to use. And there's some who think that our reserves are pretty much where they should be. So we'll be having a discussion on that, and we'll may well come up with a new policy. But I also like to tell people in general that we'll do the best we can with the tools available for us to keep, to keep people's healthcare payments, as low as we can, especially during this budget process. However, healthcare payments are going up, along with everything else. In fact, they're going up more than some other things. So I would ask that people bear that in mind in the next couple of years. That's it.
Thank you, Councilman Morrison. Any questions? Yes.
So,
Councilwoman DePaula.
yeah, just a couple questions on the self-insurance. So Tony, what is the reserve amount now?
8.3 million.
It's 8.3, I thought it was
8.3 million, except, sorry, I finished that. We're assuming this year we're going to use 1.4 million. 1 million was given by the self-insurance, and the Board of Finance added 400K out of the reserves as well on top of that.
And
Right.
Tony, there's also the claims, the NBNR claims, which are claims that are in process but not yet
Yeah,
hitting the
right.
book. So there's still a little of that as well.
Right, so if it's up over 8, but 1.4 is coming out, but now self-insurance, another 1 million
Yes.
is going to come
For
out.
next year, right, correct.
For next year. So now that's at 5.4,
2.4,
around 5.4,
5.9, yeah.
5.9, okay. And there's still 4 months of claims left, right? So if the
Mhm, right.
claims are running, it looked like the last couple of months they were running, we were good.
Right.
Before that, we were,
We think we'll use pretty much all of that 1.4 because of stuff that's happened earlier in the year.
I guess my point is this, if another 1 million is coming out, and then if claims run, if we need to, if you, the committee, needs to take more this year, I just get, we have, as a council, we,
Mhm.
or the Board of Finance, we've used money from the reserves for the budget. And I guess I'm glad to hear that. I'm just wondering what the subcommittee is thinking about, like, if the reserves were up at 8 or 9 million, and these last couple of years, they have really come down.
Mhm.
I guess I would hope that the subcommittee is really looking at, where do we want this reserve number
Yeah,
to
that's,
be? Do we want
that's
to
right.
keep taking
right.
from this, not only for the self-insurance, but for the budget?
Correct. But that's the discussion that we'll have next month, and probably the month after, too.
Right,
Because
okay,
it's an
because it's
important
right
point.
during the budget.
Important point. We did, I mean, it wasn't until recently that we had reserves for the self-insurance. So, and then, and then that grew and grew and grew because there were times, especially in COVID, where people weren't
Weren't going to the
doctors. So we got a lot of money now, so
Right.
you've got to adjust it. And
I guess it's just a matter of what, and I don't know the answer to this, but what is a reasonable reserve amount for self-insurance?
If I can, Val, I think that that's something that the committee's going to have to work through. At this table, we're not going to be able to do that today.
I understand
I think
that.
that there's, there'll be some opportunity for input. There's, that we have somebody who runs the actuarial numbers. We have a professional. We also have some people on the committee that are in the business who will give some guidance on that. And, let's just remember that the reserve, when Tony mentioned $1 million of reserves, it's $1 million of the self-insurance reserves. It's not $1 million of our undesignated or our quote-unquote rainy day fund. We have a rainy day fund of reserves for rainy day, but we also have this reserve for self-insurance. And that reserve is, it's used a little bit only for fluctuations month to month, but it gets replenished as well because some months we have high claims, and then, the reserve, they may take a few $100,000 out of it because you went over, but the next month it may get replenished because you go under. So it's a little bit of a fluid number. It's never a constant, if you will. So it's really there to cushion the blow month to month and maybe a whole year. And so that's what the committee's going to look at. As they get towards the end of this next cycle, it probably will be after this next vote, because this next vote will be their final crack at
April's the final crack.
exactly. So after they get through this year and set the number for the budget for next year firm and everything's known, then they will start to look at this policy again and determine, what's the right level. So there's still a lot to be done here. It's going to be a recommendation from the committee.
Okay,
They're probably going to have to create a policy around it.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
It's a
you.
pretty complicated thing. Maybe that's why Tom Lombardi's not here anymore. He didn't want to be on the committee, I guess. Tom, if you're listening, thanks for your hard work there. You know how hard and complex the self-insurance committee is. Okay, any other questions on self-insurance before we move on? Awesome. Okay, let's move on to item 6. Mr. Town Manager, the Town Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What we have in front of us is a request from a resident for sidewalks, to fill in the gaps in the sidewalks on Flanders Street between Darling and North Main. Just to refresh everyone's memory on how the policy works. It usually comes from a resident or someone who lives near there, and then it comes to my office. I send it to the Department of Public Works. The Department of Public Works brings it up to the Public Works Committee. The Public Works Committee then reviews it, asks the Public Works Director and her staff to send out letters to everyone that's affected. And at the same time, we bring it back here to see if you wish to do a public hearing on it, and that's what we're here for tonight. The letters did go out. We expect all the letters by the end of this week. Therefore, the letters will be submitted during your public hearing, assuming you move forward with it. So what I'm looking for from this board tonight is, when you get down to action, is to schedule a public hearing for the gaps in the sidewalks. We'll include the map, and obviously, The ordinance requires us to resend letters out to everyone affected again, telling them of the date and the time of the public hearing, and I'm suggesting April 8th at 7 o'clock in this building.
Thank you, Mr.
There's
Town
one
Manager.
little difference here. Because it's a gap situation, the town proposed to actually pay for the sidewalks, and then the homeowner will be responsible for the maintenance, which includes obviously ice, snow, et cetera, et cetera. But the town will pay for the initial construction.
Install, understood.
Yep.
Any questions on that for the Town Manager? Chris?
Just a question. I know it's not Flanders Street, but the piece on North Main Street, that there's a gap there, too, would we consider filling that in? It's on the map. It's,
My understanding it's a utility, so that would be something that we would have a separate issue with. We'd have to contact the utility.
Okay.
For that, because our utility, as you know, will not be, they will not undertake, perfectly blunt, they won't undertake cleaning the snow off and all that.
So is it worth then maybe to the councilman's request, can we reach out to the utility and just ask, tell them that we have a project going on? You know, it's not yet formalized, but, you know, ask them if they would be willing to pave their, or do their part of the sidewalk there while our vendors, you know, gonna be out there, if they would be willing to use the same vendor and get it done on their property. That would basically be the last linkage. Now, I will say, it's fairly level and fairly flat in that area that you're talking about, Chris, the Eversource.
Yep.
I think it's Eversource or the electric
It's-
easement.
I think there's two separate
Yeah.
companies in there.
So it'd be good if we reached out to them and asked them, tell them we have, you know, this going on. That's the last piece of the puzzle.
Be happy
And
to.
tell them that, you know, the busway's coming and this will finish the linkage to those who want to walk to Stop and Shop.
and obviously, I would assume the same would apply to the utility, that the town would pay for the initial upfront construction cost, and then, you know, we just
We'd have to-
ask
Well,
them.
I would recommend we pay for the upfront, if they agree to maintain it. If they say, well, we're not maintaining it, then that's a whole different ball of wax, because that means we have to send our people out there to do it, because no
Yeah.
one else will do it.
Well, let's
So-
find out what their response is
Right,
first.
right. I mean, they're members of the community. I would hope they would want to.
Usually, if they have another area nearby, then there won't be an issue, like, obviously, like Bellevue, you know, they're doing the ones on Bellevue.
Right.
That's right.
But if they have somebody nearby, then they might be able to do it,
Yeah,
so.
okay, thank you.
That'd be great. Thanks, Chris,
Certainly
for
have
bringing
Public
that
Works
up.
Yeah.
contact them.
Thank you.
Anybody else have questions about the public hearing? Hearing none, Mr. Town Manager, did you have anything else?
There's executive session tonight, and there'll be no action outside of executive session.
Thank you.
That's for personnel matters.
Is that the end of your report?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thank you. We will move on to item 7, the Town Attorney's Report. Mr. Town Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no report for the council this evening.
Thank you. Any questions for the Town Attorney? Hearing none. Let's move on to item 8, Public Communications. We will hear anybody from the public who's here who would like to speak. We have, to the town clerk, is it 4 minutes or 5 minutes? 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes for anybody who would like to speak. Regina, thank you for coming.
Regina Coviello, 12 Beaches Street. Couple things. One, I just wanted to mention that we have a local artist. I don't know, many of you probably know her, Donna Buellard, and she's actually, her artwork is at the public library. They're having an open house for her on Thursday, April 18th. I believe it's 5:30 to 7:30. And it'd be great if someone, you know, from the council could show up and support her. She's a member, she does work at SACA, everything, and she's a wonderful artist. So I did want to bring that up. Also, last meeting, I just want to bring up when the discussion about the small businesses and auditing, there's definitely, I know some small businesses don't know about this. Also, which I think Jack brought up, but also then Mr. Dezek brought up too about going further in research. And when it comes to this, I think instead of going out of state, let's keep our money at least in the state or in the town and have local, you know, maybe that would be better. Tax the state, at least in the state, you know, give some local opportunity. And then one other note, which was brought up last year, but it was a little too late, from actually Val. And I had gone down to Town Hall, disabled and elderly, there is a tax like a small tax exemption that you can get, due to your income. You just have to fill out paperwork. And so that's open until May 15th. So, if you know someone, let them know, and that might be able to help them. And then, kind of a little upset because I thought the new year knew working together, but evidently, I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison, but after your conversation, it doesn't seem like that. I thought that was all left in last year's. It's what people on both sides are saying stuff. Well, we have to work together, and bottom line, this stuff has got to stop. It shouldn't be red, it shouldn't be blue, it needs to be purple. We're all people. Okay, I have friends on both parties, and it's so hard listening to the crap that's being said, and if you're gonna call people out, well, we got some citizens in town, I'm not gonna mention names, but they're radical rights, and you know what, just last week, they pulled out Val on transportation, and it was all her. Well, so if you're gonna start doing that, then you know what? Then you have to go to your own people and tell them to stop talking. I don't like any of it. We're supposed to work together. We all live in this town. I was born and raised here, and it's really sad that I'm seeing this. And hopefully something is done. It used to be where politicals didn't even get talked about. You got upside, if there was snow there, your neighbors just helped each other. It didn't matter. And now it doesn't work like that. Well, maybe we have to go back to that, and go ahead. And then I do have, and this is gonna bring my own personal stuff that I did not want to talk about, but when you bring up the sewer bills and issues, right now it stands, and I do owe on my sewer. I owe, and it says that once it reaches 2025, whatever date, that's when a lien is put in my home. Okay, fine. So a lien is put in my home. But there are reasons why right now a lot of people can't afford those bills. I'm not saying all, but some. Okay, when you have to choose between food, electric, oil, housing, it gets tough. I'm right now, just a month ago, my oil tank gone. So now I don't have it. I'm 3 months behind in my mortgage. Okay, I had everything. 25 years I have been in my house. I'll let it go, but bottom line, there are reasons. I had it all, had money in the bank, had a 401k, and became disabled. So there are circumstances that cause issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Anybody else? Just please state your name and address for the record.
Yep. My name's Matt Nowak, 201 Berlin Avenue. And I'm here to address something that just popped up on Friday, but it's related to things that have happened in the past. I'm here to speak about a bill that the General Assembly passed in committee. It's a portion of the bill that is allowing religious organizations to install temporary shelters for people experiencing homelessness on their property. Now, in all fairness, we take good care, as best care we can, of the homeless. And with the inflation going on, yes, we're going to have a few more. But when there's talk about putting up structures on religious property for homelessness, I think the problem at the southern border has taken on a new name of homelessness. And that's a threat. That's a threat to everybody in this room, in this town, and this state, and this nation. Okay? And I think it's an overreach for the church. Maybe a church reached out and wanted something done, But why it would affect anybody else any other town besides where that church is, and their building department, is beyond me. So that's an overreach of the state to start thinking about, and it's in the bill. Hartford Current has an article on it, and it gets into what the state is proposing to do, and it's an overreach into basically your building department and your jurisdiction, not the state's. So there's an overreach there. And that's like, to me, that's another threat. There's a threat on our current form of government, how we do business, and where are we going with all this. It doesn't look good. So I'm not very happy about being threatened at my family, town, state, and country level, and now my house of worship, because I don't know who's doing this, because the Archdiocese of Hartford tells me the Catholic Church has nothing to do with putting in a request for such a thing. So I don't know if the state, because it's such a short timeline and this just popped up, I don't know if this is the state taking the liberty to put conditions on the church. That's a big fat no. Or if one church reached out, and that's fine, because the church and the town have to resolve that if they want to help and support this effort. Because we do have 4 sanctuary cities in this state, right? So the overreach there is they deal with the church that's requesting it, place of worship that's requesting it, and that town, and maybe mediate what's going on there. But to put out a bill that's going to cover the whole state, no. Especially when most towns are not sanctuary towns. And quite frankly, if these homeless are truly illegals, then we have the problem of health and safety, because it's already been proven in other cities across the country that they're not all safe. And we have no idea on their medical conditions. Have they been vaxxed to the level that we're accustomed to? So where does their health and safety lie? Where does our health and safety lie? So here's how things work. If they want to push, because the governor put out, he wants us to be prepared to take in migrants. That's somewhere between illegal and homeless. That's where this trail of changing definitions has gone. Why is he asking all the towns besides the sanctuary cities to deal with this? I don't know. It seems like another overreach to me. And putting danger right here. We thought it was just down on the border. Not so. Not so. The process of dealing with the problems we've seen, like in Ferguson, Missouri, Seattle, Washington, Portland, Oregon, if the towns can't handle it, they either handle the situation, and if they can't, they talk to the state. If the state can handle it, great. If they can't, they go to the federal government.
Thank you, Mr. Nowak.
Is my time up?
5 minutes is up.
Oh, man.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
We don't
You can
have
come out
their
to the next
support in this. We have nobody to go to because they've both failed us. And I'd like to know what we have for options to fix that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming out. Anybody else like to speak tonight? Going once? Twice? Okay, we will close the public hearing for tonight. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. We're moving on to item 9, old business. We're looking for a motion for April 8th at 7 PM. Item A, action on scheduling of public hearing for Flanders Street sidewalks.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the sidewalks on Flanders Street for April 8th at 7 PM.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any questions on the setting of the public hearing for April 8th at 7? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. Item 10, new business. Item A, tax refunds.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the tax refunds that are presented in our packets.
Thank you, Councilman Perry.
Second.
We have a second from the vice chair. Any discussion on the tax refunds? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion passes unanimously, 8-0. Okay, and we are going to entertain a motion for executive
Chair, I'd
session
like to
for,
make a
one
motion
second.
To
Mike?
go into executive session, barring the press and the public, but including town attorney.
And it's for personal matters. It's going to be for,
HR.
yes, excluding the public and press, including town council, town attorney, town human resources. Did I miss it?
That's fine.
Do we have a second for executive session?
Second. Second.
Good job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The time is 7:57.